Party. We mentioned the Green Party. The Green Party will be on the November ballot, even though they didn't quite do the right thing. What's going on?
Well, yeah, the Green Party in Arizona missed the deadline to submit the petitions to get their electors on the November 8th ballot. That deadline's June 1. They didn't know about it, and the Secretary of State's office said we can't let you on after the fact. A deadline's a deadline. So the Greens sort of lawyered up, went to court real quickly, and said, look, we didn't get any notice from the Secretary of State's office. We've had notice in past years, and besides, that deadline's really, really early compared to other states, and made a bunch of arguments, and ultimately, a federal magistrate said, well, okay, here's the deal. I'll let you on.
And this is the key, that early deadline that Mary Jo mentioned, because it was so early. You figure, look, the Democrats and Republicans at the time hadn't even had their conventions, hadn't even officially had their candidate, and to somehow suggest, no, you need to have your electors in by June 1st. That was so early that even Michele Reagan essentially confessed judgment in the case and said, I will not fight a judgment where you order me to ignore the June 1st deadline, and I will put it on there. So we didn't even have that. And the other thing that Reagan said is, look, they have a point. That June 1st deadline for electors for a November election, we haven't even printed up the primary ballots for half these things. I'll work to have that changed to the legislature.
What do you make of all this?
Yeah, the courts, I think, have historically erred on the side of letting voters have more options. So if there's something like this, some of these technical deadlines, I think we've seen this in the past, where the courts, if there's kind of a gray area, they're gonna defer to the side of the voters and say, okay, we'll make sure that the voters have every option. They're not going to be disenfranchised.
Is this another example, though, of the Secretary of State's office in the news when it doesn't necessarily have to be?
Well, I mean, if you listen to the Green Party, in past presidential years, we got notices, we got heads up on when these things are due, and there has been turnover in the Elections Division at the Secretary of State's office, but there's nothing in state law that requires them to, knock on your door and send you out a notice. That said, the Green Party is very small. It's a very small, little operation in this state, and they don't have a full-time executive director who keeps on top of all the statutory deadlines.
And they're disorganized. They'd been in court a couple of years ago because they fell below the threshold for registrants, and then they went to court and said, well, wait, what about us? And, at a certain point, there's an obligation on party officials. If you want to be an quote-unquote organized party, there are certain legal requirements you have to meet.